In the last video, we looked at how to configure WordPress. Now that we've got everything configured, I've gone back to the main homepage, and what we're going to do is we're going to create some content. Now, generally speaking, the first thing I'd recommend is creating an About Me or About Us page. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that you are a single individual who is trying to create a professional blog or website for yourself for self-promotion or promotion of whatever service that you provide. So some of the advice may not exactly apply to you, but it will all be good advice in general. So the number one most important thing to remember about your About Me page is that it is not about you. It is about your reader. It is about your potential customer. So don't write it in the sense of, I am this and I am that and I have done this. If you read most doctors' web pages, it says, well, I went to this school and I did this and I did that. Or sometimes it's in the third person. Dr. So-and-so graduated from this and did such and such a residency and blah, blah, blah fellowship. And the potential patient is saying to themselves, how is he going to treat me? So think about if you are a reader of your own website, a potential customer, potential patient, a potential client, what information would you want to know about yourself and about this particular website? So don't make it about you, make it about your customer. So let's go ahead and create it. If you come up to the top and you see new, let's go to new page. Because your About Me is not an episodic content. It's going to be there pretty much forever. And you might change the content in it, but you're not going to be doing About Me number 1, About Me number 2, About Me number 3, or a monthly, or you get the idea. So, About Me. Now, you'll notice that as soon as you go down into the main window here, you'll see this permalink, and it'll tell you that your permalink is going to be at About Me. Now, maybe you don't want to say me, maybe you just want to say about, or you get the idea. You can change that to be whatever it is you want. Then all you have to do is type in whatever you want right here. Now, by default, it's in the visual text editor, and you can change it to the text editor by clicking text. Now, this is kind of like code, and so it's going to show you the actual code behind what you do. Chances are, unless you know HTML already, you're going to want to stick with the visual. You'll also notice that there is this little line right here that says toggle toolbar. I recommend go ahead and toggling that because it'll give you some additional text formatting information that you can use. If you're going to be copying and pasting from Microsoft Word, I would highly recommend that you paste as text, because when you paste from Word, a lot of weird stuff comes in and it's just going to be weird. Start off talking about you, just like we talked about before. Don't think about it as in who you are because you're special. Think about what your potential customer would like to know from you. Okay, so just really quickly, I've put in some text here, but it's not formatted at all. So let's say under what you can expect, you want to make that a header. So we can click on this paragraph and turn it to header 2. You should never use header 1 in your actual text because header 1 is going to be reserved for the title of your article. So this About Me at the top, this is going to be in the header 1. So within the text, you should start using header 2 and below. The other thing that you can also do is create links. So in here, we've got Palm Beach Lincoln University. So we can actually link. So we're going to click on the button that looks like a chain link. And we can say, here's the university's website. And we can do the same thing for the School of Nursing. If you don't have to type it in. You can just copy and paste it from your browser's address bar. All right, so at the moment, we don't really have anything else to link to. Eventually, because I do mention that this site will serve as a digital repository for scholarly projects, eventually that scholarly projects will become a link to the actual category for scholarly projects. So for now, you can just click Publish, and if you prefer, you can click Preview first, and it'll show you what it looks like. Again, don't worry too much about the background and all of that because we haven't put any themes on it. We're just creating some content. It's much more important for you to start publishing on your website than for it is for you to make it look pretty. You can always make it look pretty later on, but you have to start adding content right now. If you add one article a week, in 3 years, you'll have 150 articles. If you wait until it looks pretty, you might never have any articles. So go ahead and get that content going, and then later on, we'll worry about what it looks like in terms of visual appeal. If you decide that you don't like something, then up at the top here where it says edit page, you can edit, or down here where it says edit, you can edit there as well. And in this case, you'll notice that that apostrophe is backwards. So let's go ahead and edit and fix that. And that should hopefully fix our problem. And now it's facing the right way. So once you're ready to publish it, you can just go ahead and click publish. Notice over here that it has draft visibility, and it'll also tell you browse and when to edit it. So let's say for a moment that you don't want this particular page to go live until a certain date. So let's say you're doing a news release and you just want it to go live on that news release date. Or let's say that you're writing, you're trying to do one article a week, but you're going to write 4 articles in one day and then have it publish once a week. So that way you don't have to do writing every single week. Or let's say your goal is to do an article a day. You can do 5 articles in one day and then have it drip them out one day at a time, so you're not having to write every single day. So you can change the publish time for that. So we're just going to go ahead and click publish. All right, now if we come back to our website, you're going to see that it's not there. Why isn't it there? Well, it's because we don't have any links to that page. So what we have to do is create a menu. So let's come back to the dashboard, and we're going to come down to menu. At this time, we need to make a menu. So let's call it main menu. Create. And now what we can see is over here, this is what is actually in our menu. And then over here are things we can add from. So right now it says auto add pages. So you can make it automatically add any page you want. If you do that very, very quickly, that menu is going to get all scattered up. So for now, let's not do that. What we want to do is click the About Me. And then we can also tell it we want it to be in the primary menu location. A lot of time, that's where that primary location is going to depend on your theme. A lot of times it's going to be across the top, but sometimes it might be down the side. So it can vary. Let's go ahead and click Save. And then if we go back to our site, we're going to see that it still doesn't exist. Forgot to hit Save. So we're going to go ahead and click About Me, Add to Menu. And then we can also change a little bit about it. So if you click on this down arrow, we can change the navigation label. So you don't have to have it named the exact thing that your page is named. And then if you do change it, then you can click Save. At this point, you should see it on your menu here. As you add more things to this menu, they'll float across the top here. So this will be your main menu. You might be asking yourself, why is there this blank space up at the top? That's for you to put a logo there if you have a logo. If you decide you don't like the way that this looks, so let's say, I really do want it to say about us and not about me, you can go ahead and click on the menus button again, come down here, change this about us, or about this website, whatever you want it to be, click Save, and that will be changed over here now. So we click on it, and we notice that because I was explaining about personal, I named the About Us, About Me. I'd like to change that. If we're logged in, you can click Edit Page or Edit. Now, if you're not the creator of this page, unless you're considered an editor, you will not be able to edit your own. You'll not be able to edit anyone else's pages, only the pages that you have created. All right, so creating a page really is that easy. So at the moment now, we're going to go ahead and create a post. So I mentioned in here that this site will serve as a digital repository for DNP scholarly projects. So what we're going to do is going to go to posts and we're going to add a category. And that category is going to be scholarly projects. So DNP scholarly project. Now under the slug, I don't want it to be that long, so I'm just going to say scholarly project. The slug is going to become part of the URL when you search by categories. And as far as everything else goes, we can leave it unchecked. Under the description, we can say something like, and then hit add new category. Now let's go up to posts. So we're going to add a post. So we go back up to our new and click post. All right, it looks very, very similar to the add page, except for instead of having a post title at the top, it's going to say page. There's a page, it's going to say post. So here we can enter this, and we're going to say Jane Doe's sample DNP, and then you can say, and then you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, we have a whole bunch of things. These are formats for the post. Chances are we just want this to be a standard. But let's say that you have a site where you post a lot of images. Say that you're a photographer. Then you want to maybe showcase individual images with a post, and you could have it be an image. If you're a podcast, you might want to make it an audio. You get the idea. If you do a lot of social media stuff, you could have statuses that are updated here on your website and then are automatically pushed out to Facebook or LinkedIn, etc. But for now, we're just going to leave it as standard. The other big difference that you're going to see in a post is that underneath this whole section here, you're going to see categories. So we want this to be the DNP Scholarly Project. You can add any tags. So let's say that Jane Doe's scholarly project is about hypertension. So we could add hypertension, or say it was about improving population health of homeless. We could tag it with homeless. You get the idea. There are some additional advanced features that you can use, and that would be under screen options. So under screen options, we can add some things here. I'm going to add a really cool one called custom fields. Now here we can add some things. So most likely we'd want to add the graduation date of Jane Doe. So we can put graduation year. And let's actually change that to something that's a little easier, just grad year. And then she's going to graduate in 2017. Now, when you click this add custom field, it's going to put it up here at the top, and then you can either delete it or update it. This is going to allow in the future for us to be able to really easily be able to pull up specific things as far as when a person graduated, pull up everyone who graduated in that particular year. You might be thinking to yourself, well, isn't that what categories can be used for? And yes, categories can be used for that, but it would take a lot of you don't want to make too many categories. Another way you could use it is by making tags and tagging it, say 2017. The problem with doing that is that 2017 isn't very specific. And so you might be able to, if you just search for things for 2017, you're going to find mission trips and other news items that occurred in 2017. By creating this custom field, grad year 2017, we can ensure that we only pull exactly what we're looking for. So you might not need to use this in your particular blog or professional website, but it is a very useful feature to know about, even if you don't use it. Now, as far as putting them in is really easy. You put the name in here, put what you want the value to be here, click add, and it's done. Using them is a bit more complicated, and it's going to be outside the scope of this particular video. I'll give you a link to some examples of what you can do with it in the show notes. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and click. You can save as a draft to use it later. You can set the publish date, and you can also preview it. So this is what it's going to look like. Jane Doe's sample DMP project, blah, 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 blah. And it gives us that tag that I created. We're going to get rid of that tag in just a moment. So let's go ahead and click edit. Let's delete that and publish it. All right, so now when we, and we wanted to make sure DNP Scholarly Project, perfect. All right, we publish it. And now when we come back to the main website, you'll notice that Hello World, that very first post, is now the second post, and our first post is Jane Doe's sample DNP project. And you'll see that the category is listed right here. So if you click on that category, you'll notice now that it says category DNP project. This site is a repository for blah, 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 blah. And so in the future, all of the DNP projects are going to appear below this post. So this way, it's a really nice way you can separate out all the DNP projects into one location. And that's really what category is meant to be used for. Don't try and get too crazy with categories. Making it complicated subcategories and multiple categories doesn't really work out that well. And when I first started trying to use WordPress, I thought it would be really cool. So for instance, I created a website where I had different schools and then I had different topics. And so you could mix and match, and you could say, okay, this was a School of Ministry mission trip, or this was a School of Nursing ministry trip. And it would have two different categories. And unfortunately, it just never worked out well. When you're trying to combine things like that, it's a lot easier to really just either use the custom fields or tags. So keep your categories to a minimum. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you now is how to link from one article to another. So let's come back to our About Us page. And then we're going to click Edit. Oh, sorry. First, we have to come back to this category. Now notice the URL is pba.nursing.org/category/ the name of our slug, the category slug, which is DNP project. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to About Us. Then we're going to click Edit. And now we're going to say serve as a digital repository for DNP scholarly projects. So let's go ahead and highlight that and click the link button. And now we can click this little down arrow, and everything that we have is included here. So if you want to link directly to another page, you can do that. In this case, we're linking to a category. Categories aren't considered content, so we're just going to have to paste it and click Add Link and then Update. All right, so let's go ahead and view that page. And we scroll down here. This site will also serve as a digital repository, and there it is. All right, now you have enough information to be able to go out and start writing some articles. So I would recommend that if you're writing how-to articles, or say that you're writing a sequential series of articles where you've got part 1, part 2, part 3, you might want to use pages for those, because that way you can structure them very easily, and I'll show you how to do that in one moment. If you're writing just unrelated articles, just like article of the week or topic of the week, then go ahead and use posts and just make sure that you put it in a category that makes sense. So let's say that you are primarily going to be writing about 3 different types of things. Let's say that within your professional page, you might be having articles that tell a person how to be healthier. And you've also got articles that tell people how to find a good doctor or healthcare practitioner. And then you have other articles that are just commentary on news stories. So you might want to have 3 different categories that talk about those 3 different types of posts. You might have personal category for when you talk about yourself and things that are going on with you. So here you learn something from my life. And then you can have maybe a news category for when you talk about things that are going on in the news. You get the idea. So at the moment, let's go ahead and look at how we can change the order of a page to create like a how-to guide. So in this case, we only have 2 pages on our site at the moment. So let's go ahead and click on the About Us, the one we created, and then we'll click Edit. Now, right here where you see where it says parent, no parent, and then order. So we can say that About Us is a subcategory of the sample page, or we can leave it as it is. So you could use this functionality to create like a guide of guides. So let's say that you had a 4-part guide on how to lose weight. So you could have an introductory page that talks about what you're going to learn in this little 4-page course. And then that would be the parent. And then you'd have 4 other pages, pages 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are going to tell you how to lose weight. So for each of those pages, you would say, I want my parent page to be that how to lose weight introduction. And then you can choose what order they go in by giving them a number. So you can order them number 1, number 2, number 3. And then, unfortunately, WordPress isn't really smart enough to tell you, okay, go from the end of page 1 to the beginning of page 2. But there are some plugins that will do that. So when you automatically get to the bottom of your article number 1, it'll automatically put in a link to go to article number 2. So if you're doing those kinds of very sequenced how-to guides, I really think that Pages makes it a lot easier to use than Posts. But by default, WordPress kind of leads you towards Posts. The most important thing to remember about Posts is that it always, always, always wants to link oldest to newest. And now you know just enough to be dangerous. So remember, like Joel Salatin says, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing wrong. And the reason for that is that the first time you try something, you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to be good at writing. You're not going to be good at acting. You're not going to be good at being a nurse. You're not going to be good at anything you do at first. It is a process of learning from your mistakes, of gaining experience, and the absolute most important thing when it comes to creating a blog or a professional website is to put out content. Go out there, write some articles. You can always change the URLs if you need to. You can always change the categories later if you need to. But what you can never get back is the time you lost not writing.